delighted to say, as I said at the top of the show, we're joined live by an old friend, Jason Gillespie, the great former Australian fast bowler, who spent the day commentating on the South Australia-Victoria game. We'll come back to that in a minute, Dizzy. But yeah, the start of the Sheffield Shield campaign. It's always an exciting time, isn't it? As the real stuff kicks off. Just 50 days to go until the Ashes. Has anybody made a big move towards putting their hand up for a play? Well, let's start with Marnus, shall we? Made 160.
Yeah. Yeah, g'day Manners and g'day Harmy. Yeah, Marnus, I think Queensland are playing Tasmania up in Brisbane, and today he got 160. So that's a good start for him. Going a long way. There's a lot of discussions in Australian cricket about who's going to open the batting leading into the Ashes, and George Bailey, the chairman of selectors, and Andrew McDonald, the coach, have both stated that Sheffield Shield form early parts of the season. I think there's 4 rounds of Sheffield Shield, so there's plenty of time for many candidates to stake their place.
And will there be any sort of left field picks from the Sheffield stuff? Because it's amazing. You've done a lot of sort of county cricket, and McCullum and Stokes have got so much disregard for county cricket. It's ridiculous. Where George Bailey's going, right, whatever you do in Shield cricket, it matters. So somebody's going to get it right, somebody's going to get it wrong. But is there somebody from the sort of left field? Because it looks in this early part that quite a lot of senior players, a lot of experienced players, like Hanscom, Renshaw, and people like that, have backed up some runs.
Yeah, Renshaw, you mentioned Matt Renshaw. He's also scored some runs. Pete Hanscom, the game here, South Australia versus Victoria. Young Henry Hunt, who opens the batting for South Australia, played very well in the first innings for 126 against Scott Bowl and Fergus O'Neill, 2 form bowlers in the Sheffield Shield. So there's been a few. There's a few more senior players that have been around a while, the likes of Marcus Harris, the likes of Cameron Bancroft, Sam Whiteman. You'd think by now, it's been 4 years and maybe 6 in the case of Cameron Bancroft or longer, that they haven't been given opportunity. So you just sense that maybe their time has passed them by, or time has passed them by. The names that are going around, obviously, Usman Khawaja, it looks like he's a lock to open the batting. Marnus's name has been bandied around. Sam Constance is the incumbent, the young fella from New South Wales, 20-year-old batter. Jake Weatherald, who scored a lot of runs for Tasmania last season, the Sheffield Shield. Now, Tasmania, Bellarive Oval is known as a tough place to bat these days, very green seeming surfaces that are tough to bat on, low scores. And he scored over 900 runs last year at average north of 50. So he backed it up. He got 67 in the first innings for Tasmania against Queensland. So there's a few players going around scoring runs. Will the Australian selectors go a bit like what England do? England basically pick players on attributes, really, on what they think could succeed in certain conditions and certain environments. And there's no real regard. There's no rating, as you will, of county cricket. So I don't think that's quite the case in Australia. The Australian selectors will pick who they think are best suited to face this England attack that the England selectors have picked for this tour. So it'll be interesting to see which way they go, Harmy.
Yeah, they pick tall bowlers and fast-scoring batsmen. So if you bowl and you're not 6 foot, you got no chance. And if your strike rate's under 80, back to Australia, the other talking points are the all-rounder. Bo Webster missed the first round, I see. Cameron Green batted 4 and is just returning to bowling, so that's obviously a good sign. Mitch Marsh categorically ruled himself out of an Ashes place. So that's the all-rounder situation, as I understand it. What's the situation with Pat Cummins? I mean, he's obviously not playing, but is there any update on his condition?
Yeah, I haven't heard anything this week, Manners, about Pat Cummins. He's got hot spots in his back. I think they're taking an overly cautious approach with the Australian captain, and I think that's a good plan. He doesn't play a lot of domestic cricket anyway. So to give you an idea how many Sheffield Shield games Pat Cummins has played in his career, he's 32 years of age. He's played 9 Sheffield Shield games. So he basically just plays cricket for Australia, and I think in 1 or 2 of the various leagues, T20 leagues around the world. So he basically, his focus is on playing for Australia. I don't think he'll play any cricket before, if he's going to play that first Ashes test. I don't think he'll play any cricket. I think he'll back himself to get enough bowling in centre wicket scenarios, practice, these sort of things without having to actually play a first-class game. So I suspect he'll play a fairly prominent role. Whether he plays all 5 Test matches is yet to be seen, but I'm quietly optimistic that he'll have a prominent role in this Australian summer.
Dizzy, we've got bowlers like that. We've got obviously Mark Wood and Jofra Archer to name 2 that who are not only exciting, but bowlers who don't play a lot of sort of longer format cricket because of their bodies. I mean, when you're talking about the batters, you're talking about sort of runs in Sheffield Shield cricket. You've mentioned Weatherall and Constance has had a little bit of international cricket. What sort of characteristics do you want from your batters? If, for instance, Mark Wood plays 2 Test matches, Jofra Archer plays 4 Test matches, this is you need a different skill sets when you're coming up against extreme pace, especially on the Australian wickets.
Yeah, most certainly, and Australian batters have been brought up on Australian surfaces, so they're used to that. It will be. I will be very interested to see the type of surfaces that are produced here, because we know England like to play and they prepare surfaces in the UK that is very batter friendly. They look to score and score quickly. England are a very attacking team with the bat in hand, but they're actually a very defensive team with the ball in hand. We see that with the way they bowl, the fields that are set, fields are spread. Stokesy, as a captain, can get quite impatient if things aren't happening. He likes to change things up a lot. He likes to go to bouncer plans, set very defensive fields, even sets relatively defensive fields for spinners. I suspect the selections that England have made, and having Shoaib Bashir, who's not even the frontline spinner at Somerset, as a leading spinner and the only frontline spinner in this tour party, with Will Jackson, Joe Root as a backup, suggests to me that England are a little bit concerned about their batting, particularly their top order batting. And they'll be concerned that if they don't get off to decent starts, they'll expose Joe Root, Harry Brook and Ben Stokes to the relatively new ball in Australian conditions. So I think that they are going to bat deep as they can and look to maintain this positive attitude with the bat. But it will be very interesting to see if that tactic can come off in Australia.
Dizzy, can I just pivot quickly to T20 cricket? Another thumping series win in New Zealand for the Chapel Hadley Trophy. Australia haven't lost a series since they won the last T20 World Cup, and that's only, what is it, 6 months away now. They're looking very good. They seem to have, I mean, you can't perfect that that format, but they certainly seem to have nailed it for the last 18 months.
Yeah, they certainly have. I think they've got quite a settled lineup, particularly with the bat. With their bowlers, that they've obviously, Pat Cummins hasn't played a lot. Josh Hazlewood's played a bit, to be fair, but Mitchell Starc probably hasn't played much either. So likes of Xavier Bartlett, Ben Dorshus, Spencer Johnson before he got injured had played a few games. Sean Abbott has been playing, Nathan Ellis. So I think they're really settled. Adam Zampa, one of the better white ball spinners going around. So I think Australia are quite settled. Tim David's been given a bit more responsibility, being moved up to 4. But we saw Mitch Marsh. I think he played one of the T20 innings for the ages the other night when Australia were chasing 157 to win. They in a spot of bother, and he finished unbeaten on 102, I think, 103, scored the majority of the runs. He was playing on a different surface manners. He was absolutely outstanding. He's leading this team very well. He's a very popular leader, Mitch Marsh. And I think they're in a very good headspace, Australia, going into these next 6 months and into a T20 World Cup.
Izzy, it's good to hear you on the commentary. Are you doing much commentary for the Ashes? And I hear you got an early wake-up call the other morning.
First of all, yeah, I'll be on the ABC radio this summer for the first 3 Test matches, Harmy, and so that'll be heard on the BBC. So really looking forward to that. But yeah, day 1 of this Sheffield Shield game between South Australia and Victoria, it was about 5 to 6 in the morning. I was downstairs having some toast and having some water, and I hear the doorbell ring, and so I'm thinking, this is pretty strange for a Saturday morning. The doorbell's ring. I'm not normally up at that time, but I was getting ready and having something to eat. And so I sort of went to my front door and I looked through the peephole. And there was this character dressed in only a cricket helmet, a jock strap, and holding a cricket bat. And he's going, Dizzy, how are ya? I want to meet you. And I'm just having a look at him, and he's clearly had a night out. There's no question of that. And he said, I lost a bet. And I said, I can see that, mate. And he's proceeded to tell me, I lost a bet. Oh, how are you? I said, mate, good, but I'm not opening my door. I'm sorry, mate. You are holding a cricket bat. So, he was fine. He was actually, he looked a bit tired, a little bit worse for wear. And also, he was incredibly apologetic. I think he was actually pretty embarrassed, to be honest. And he said, Dizzy, I'm so sorry. He said sorry about 3 or 4 times. I said, it's okay, mate. No dramas. Hope you have a good day. I'll catch you later, mate. And that was it. It was just one of those bizarre experiences that happened from time to time. I was a little bit concerned for my safety, I must say. Some random person just knocking on your door at 6 a.m. on a Saturday morning. But I went back inside, and my wife had woken up, and she yelled from the top of the stairs, who was that? And I explained what it was, and she just burst out laughing. She thought it was hilarious. So, but anyway, a funny story, and told it on comms on that day, and it kind of went viral, and it was quite funny in the end.
It wasn't madness, was it? 18 to do some funny things with his cricket bat, and
No, it certainly wasn't Marnus. He was up in Brisbane getting ready for the Shield game up there against Tassie. But look, it was a funny experience. You look back now, a couple of days later, and it's quite funny. But at the time, it was bizarre is probably the word to describe it, Harmy.
Just finally, sorry, just finally for me. If you were to put your hat on where Australia's team's going to be, I could probably name England's team now. It'll be Crawley, Duckett, Bethel, Root, Brook, Stokes, Smith. And then I think England might play 4 seamers in Perth, and I think they might go, if Wood's fit, they'll go with Wood, Archer, Carson, Atkinson. I think that will be England's 11. Have you got a steer on where you think Australia's 11 will be?
Look, it's still a little bit up in the air, and I think, as the selectors have said, Harmy, that they want to see Shield form. I think if Sam Constas gets a score in the next couple of Sheffield Shield games, I think he's a chance. They've invested some time and effort, time and energy into Sam Constas, and young player. I think we've got to remember as well, we've got to manage our expectations as a cricket fraternity. This kid is doing all his learning and about first-class cricket in the international arena. So, it's a big stepping stone. The advantage he's got a cool, calm head at the other end in Usman Khawaja. So, look, unless he absolutely stinks it up in Shield cricket, I expect him to be at the top of the order. If he doesn't, then I'd say Jake Weatherall, the Tasmanian opening batter, will get a run. As for number 3, Cameron Green's been batting 3, but I think now that he's back bowling, I suspect he'll drop down to 6, which would mean no room for Bo Webster, he would be unfortunate to miss out. But I think if he's not as the 4th seamer, he then has to be judged as a batter alone, and I don't think he quite makes a team as a batter alone in the top 6. So I would have Cameron Green at 6. I'd bring Marnus back in at number 3, and then you have Steve Smith at 4 and Travis Head at 5. Then you'd have Carey at 7, and then the big 4, Stark, Cummins, Hazelwood and Lyon, with, if Pat Cummins is not fit, then Scott Boland comes in.